Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is our Friday news dump. We are going to cover all the news you need to hear this week before the weekend, so you don't have to worry about it. You can have a blissfully unaware, leisurely, comfortable weekend where you don't have to worry about what the hell idiots in the world are getting up to. This is Before Coffee, the father and daughter comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we just got some coffee, we're learning to read live on stream, and we have a soundboard and a wheel that we will roll to decide what our segues are, because making decisions is hard, so let a wheel make the decisions for you. Let's get into today's headlines. Today on the Friday news dump, they call us dirty and confiscate everything we own, even our phones. Testimonies of forced repatriations from Iran to Afghanistan.
And good morning. Happy Friday for the United States, where Alaskans greet Putin with Ukrainian flags and protest war criminal hanging out here. Plus more Putin news. Czechoslovakia ramped up spying on Trump in the 1980s.
Plastic pollution treaty talks in Geneva end without an agreement.
Also, do you think everyone died young in ancient societies? Think again.
In my culture news, an entitled scandal. Here are the key takeaways from the scathing new Prince Andrew biography.
And it's National Relaxation Day. So kick back, put your feet up, but don't go to sleep because you got another hour and 72 minutes of Before Coffee.
Well, I think we start the show earlier before we actually start the actual show, right? We have a pre-show thing where we're just getting ready, and then a post-show thing, and that can definitely cause it to be like 2 hours long. I think it took us around 25 minutes to get ready to even start the show, so sometimes it's like that.
We have the pre-show where we're not quite ready, and then we have the show where we're still not quite ready. We do the show anyway.
Let's get ready first with our segue.
I'm just sitting here watching the wheel.
Oh, right. I'm running the wheel on another page. I'll just tell you what it does myself, because it's not working on... Yes. It's a haiku! So you gotta write me a haiku for my first story, which is... These stories are both really long, so you'll have plenty of time. You might even be able to write 5 haikus. This first story is coming out of, I believe, Afghanistan. This is on Il Fato Quotidiano by Mustafa Nikzad. On Afghanistan's western border, the road home is anything but welcoming. It's a corridor of heat, dust, carrying only the weight of what was taken from them. In these places, lives are shattered in minutes. Possessions are seized, savings disappear, dignity is stripped away before the final push across the border. Since the beginning of 25, over 1 million Afghan refugees have been repatriated from Pakistan and Iran. Iran, in particular, is carrying out mass deportations. Tensions have increased following the war with Israel and accusations of Afghan citizens' involvement in the Mossad operations. Yeah, every single person from Afghanistan is involved. Really, that's totally how that works. The expulsions affect tens of thousands of people who are forced to return to a country already facing deep economic crisis. This is the reality in Zaranj, Nimruz province, Islam Kala, Herat province, and other points, told through the voice of those who have recently returned to Afghanistan. In the stories that follow, they speak of days without water, nights without shelter, newborns held until ransoms are paid, and coffins arriving without explanation. Sorry, this guy died, and we're not going to tell you how. Before they are pushed back, they take everything from their money to their cell phones. No one can predict when people will arrive, says Wakil Korami, an aid worker in Zaranj, Nimruz border area. Some nights they arrive at 1 a.m. Other days the influx begins at 5 p.m. under a blazing sun. The heat reaches 51 degrees. The dust sticks to their skin and clothes, and the elderly children suffer the most. They arrive exhausted after hours of walking, and sometimes they are held in camps for hours, even at night, before they can leave. One of the cruelest things is that many are purposely sent to borders far from their cities and provinces to make the return home more difficult and to create more problems even after they've dropped off in Afghanistan. Oh, you live over there? Well, we're going to send you on the other side of where your village is. They don't know Afghanistan. It's streets. It's cities. Some were born in Iran or have lived there their entire lives. They don't know how to survive here. Karami also describes the conditions these people face when they arrive. Before they are rejected, everything is taken from them. Money, bank accounts, goods, property, even their phones. Many arrive here empty-handed. Single men and women without families are the only ones who suffer the most. Often the Afghan government doesn't treat them equally, leaving them off the assistance list. They face serious problems even just passing biometric checks and basic procedure. If it weren't for volunteers, many would be dead. We bring rice, bread, water, juice, hygiene supplies, whatever we can. People organize themselves into groups. Some refuse money and buy the items directly. Others accept money but give receipts and publish photos, so the donors know exactly where they've ended up. The need never ends. Luggage can take a day or two to arrive. Families sleep in corners waiting. From here to Kabul, 1,000 to 2,000 Afghans per person are needed. Money that almost no one has after having paid to leave Iran. My son was sitting outside with his friends when Iranian motorcyclists arrived, hit him and drove away without stopping. We went to the hospital. They didn't want to treat my 6-year-old son who was hit by motorcycles. Sadar Ahmad Wali, who is in Islam Kala, Herat, and is the father of a 6-year-old boy who was hit by motorcyclists in Iran, said it was around 4 in the afternoon. The ambulance arrived late. Went to the hospital in the evening and waited until 8, but nothing. They refused to treat him because we were Afghans. The Iranians were arrested immediately, one after another. My son was crying with a broken leg and they just... Wait! They left us waiting until morning before they finally put the cast on him. I went to the police, who told me to get footage from the cameras. I went to the nearby shop and asked for footage, but the owner refused and insulted me. Afghani kasafat means dirty Afghan. That's how they see us there. They hurt you twice. First with what they do to your body, and then what they say to your face and your dignity. This is just one of thousands daily incidents that Afghans in Iran suffer from ordinary citizens. From gang and individual attacks on Afghan women. Of course, this is really disappointing because I'm sure Iranian people also suffer through that in other places. So, what's the point? Oh, we can finally be above someone. Let's bully the Afghanis. Yeah. I'm only thinking of how to keep my wife alive until next week. I used to work on a farm in Iran, explains Ramat Kul, pseudonym, as in not his real name. A farm worker in Islam Kala Herat who was deported while his wife was receiving cancer treatment. It paid a little, but it kept us alive. My wife has breast cancer. In Iran, she has regular appointments in Hope. Then we were deported. We returned this morning with nothing. No home, no job, not even the last salary that they owed me. My wife's treatment is approaching and I can't pay rent, food, or medicine. I don't think about tomorrow. I only think about how to keep her alive next week. Ahmed Kali says, now I think maybe I made a mistake going to Iran. Expelled with his family of 6 and now in Islam Kala Herat. Maybe I went because I feared for my family's safety. Or maybe because I thought I had no choice but to seek refuge there. But after living there, after seeing their people, their systems, their treatment of us, I believe this. Better to die in your own country than to live like a king in someone else's. At the gate with my documents ready, the officials still insulted me and pushed me. I said, "Do you believe in Allah?" They replied, "Afghani Palid, Afghani Kasafat, Durni Afghani." Leaving isn't free. For my family, I paid 16 million tomans, which is about $150, for the bus to the border, and 6 million tomans, about $65, as a municipal tax. If you can't pay, they'll take you off the deportation bus. I've seen people begging in the camp for money, and they force you to do so. If you have nothing, they'll take your phone or your bag. The camp where they keep you if you can't pay is cruel. The heat is unbearable. The conditions filthy. You sit there, humiliated, until someone outside brings you the money or until they strip you of what's left. At the hospital, they demanded money from me to get my son back. When it was time for my birth, the hospital searched me before even looking at my wife, said Nasir Rudian Fayaz, the father of a newborn baby in Islam Kala Herat. pockets, purse, everything, looking for money. After the bust, they sent my wife home but kept the baby, saying he had neonatal jaundice. 5 days my newborn was held there without adequate milk. They said they would only return him to me if I paid 5 million tomans, which is between $500 to $600. I borrowed money from everyone I knew and got my son back. I've seen other Afghan families in the same trap. They hold children as if they were collateral. You know what? You can keep them. Assholes. Finally, a story from Habib Noor. They say it was an accident. An uncle who received his nephew's body at the border now speaks from Islam Kala Herat. My nephew was 32 years old, unmarried, and worked in the fields in Iran. This morning they returned him to us in a coffin. No explanation beyond that word. His mother is still there and will be deported soon. He left to earn money and returned silent and heavy. We will take him to our village and bury him, but we will never know what really happened. Among the red, green, and blue chairs of the reception rooms, beneath slowly rotating ceiling fans, these stories are repeated in different mouths. A child tracing the edge of his cast with a finger, a husband folding medical papers he no longer knows how to use, a father counting the days between birth and redemption, an uncle walking beside a coffin. In Zaranj, Islam Kala, borders are more than just a line on the map. They are a place where lives are stripped bare, where the journey home begins with nothing but the clothes on one's back, and where for many, road ahead leads to a country they've never truly known. And that's why being anti-immigrant is bullshit, and you're a piece of shit if you think, oh, you come from somewhere else. I've never been there, right? A lot of these people have never been to Afghan. They've been in Iran their entire lives, living there since probably the Afghanistan war, right? 30 years ago?
Yeah.
And you go back there. I don't even know anyone there. I don't even know what village I come from. Like, good luck. It's really fucked up. And
In this
sorry,
country,
it's a bit of a bummer. The cruelty of humanity right there, coming from hypocrites. Really, like I'm sure Iranian people who escape to the rest of the world really appreciate that the Iranians who stay in Iran are being assholes to other people who are doing the same thing. You have haiku?
Yes, Taliban. Here's your haiku. Taliban was jailed. Then Diaper Donnie got in. Release Epstein files. There's your haiku.
Okay, let's roll our segue wheel.
Every day it's a gaslight. Every day the gaslighting gets worse in America. Is he wants us to forget this story. Another haiku, okay.
And we've rolled an alliteration headline from me for your stories. I have no more story. That was it. Your story now.
Oh, I thought you had 2 stories.
No, you're the one with 2 stories. I only have 3 today.
Oh, I thought you said it too. I was here taking a rest.
Alliteration headline.
Get my glasses up. Alliteration headline. We're going to talk about compromised leaders. Let's do that. Politico.eu, which is their European branch of Politico, I imagine. Veronika Malkozarova has the story. Alaskans greet Putin with Ukrainian flag protest. War criminal hanging out here. It's just a headline. It is a picture of hundreds of Ukrainian flags. A bunch of American flags hanging out upside down as a sign of distress. A few of them are side up. Who knows what they're cheering for? Who knows what side they're on with the American flags? Who knows, right? I know what side the people with them hanging upside down are. With is a sign of distress. We are being held hostage. Several hundred people gathered for a pro-Ukraine rally in Anchorage, Alaska, where Diaper Donnie and Russian leader Vladimir Putin are set to meet Friday, which is today. The high stakes summit, which is not really high stakes because
nothing's gonna happen.
Ukraine isn't there.
Yeah.
I'm United States. I'm a fair broker for Ukraine. No, we already know you're a fair broker. You're just there to give Putin the best deal. That's all you're there for, Trump. So again, this summit's just taking place basically so Putin can measure up Trump and say, oh, what else can I do? What else can I get from this guy? Basically, that's all it is. Because Trump has no power over anyone, anywhere, except his stupid followers. So there we go. Anyway, the high-stakes summit, the first in-person meeting between an American president and Vladimir J. Criminal Putin since the latter launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine on February 22. It is meant to be laid a ground for a ceasefire. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky was not invited, so it's not really a talk for a ceasefire. It's just bullshit between a couple of oligarchs trying to control shit. Scheduled to kick off around 11 a.m. local time, Joint Base Elmendorf, Richardson. Okay, 11 a.m. local time is about what? Alaska's 4 hours behind, I think. So about 6:47 there now. So in about 4.5 hours. The protesters started to gather early on Friday morning, coming ahead of Putin's arrival in Anchorage, citing a pro-Kiev slogans and demanding that Russia return the 20,000 Ukrainian children as kidnapped from the war zone. The protesters also took umbrage at Diaper Donnie inviting Putin to a meeting on American soil in Alaska, which used to be a Russian territory until it was sold to the United States in 1867, a sale that Vladimir Putin does not recognize. I guarantee you he wants Alaska back. He wants all the land he used to be the Russian Empire. I guarantee it. They should not have sold that land, he says. That is Russian land. Ukraine and Alaska, Russia never again. Ostap Yarnish, media advisor for Razom for Ukraine Foundation, said in a post on X, along with footage of the protest. The local organizers of the rally said Alaska opposes tyranny in a post on social media, calling on supporters to come together in Anchorage, Alaska, and protest against a international war criminal hanging out here. The decision to host Putin, a war criminal, thank you, on Alaskan soil is a betrayal of our history and a moral clarity demanded by the suffering of Ukraine and other occupied peoples, the Native Movement NGO said in a statement, calling for Diaper Donnie not to make a deal with Putin. Stinky the Clown said he planned to organize a trilateral meeting of the Ukrainian president and Putin soon after Alaska meeting. He couldn't organize a cup of tea, all right? Putin soon after the Alaska meeting. Anyway, the U.S. president said there were 3 ideas for locations, and by far the easiest would be staying in Alaska. Ukraine and its European allies have expressed some cautious optimism about the summit after Trump hardened his criticism of Putin over his role in prolonging the war and floated the idea of U.S. security guarantees to facilitate ceasefires, something he had previously rejected. Yeah. Okay, Trump wants to go in there and go, yeah, we're going to keep the peace and we're going to maintain a border that Putin established. And how are we going to do that? We're going to put Americans on the border. Are you following this? We're going to establish a border that Russia wants and we're going to force it with American troops. Okay, Trump. You try to pull some shit on the rest of us. I'm wise to you. I hope your idiot followers get wise. Though Trump initially floated the idea of Ukraine swapping land for peace, he later promised Ukrainian and European leaders to the world he would not discuss the issue with Putin and without Zelensky. Trump's promises are worth, a fart. The White House has attempted to temper expectations of a successful peace deal ahead of the summit, with Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, Ava Braun, as we call her now, referring to the meeting as a listening exercise. Still, Trump has said he expects Putin to take the meeting seriously. Of course he takes it seriously. He's got his little pawn in his hand. Why wouldn't he take it seriously? He's like, hey, Trumpy, how you doing in my hand? Tickle. Anyway, still Trump has said he expects Putin to take the meeting seriously, threatening very severe consequences for Moscow if the Russian leader doesn't agree to take steps to end the war. Very severe consequences, Trump. Sure. Leavitt said Trump refers to, I guarantee you, very severe consequences happen. We're going to get a whole lot of blackmail tapes about Trump. I guarantee you. We'll be on TV like 24/7. Russia will just hack into your computer and just start showing you blackmail tapes of Trump. That's what will happen if Trump turns on Moscow. Just letting you know. Leavitt said Trump refers diplomacy over imposing new sanctions on Russia, although he has all means ready. He doesn't mind imposing sanctions on our allies. He doesn't mind raising tariffs on our allies. But oh boy, we got to hold this card against Russia that I'm never going to use because Vladimir Putin owns me. Okay, so there's your story.
Yeah, it's totally not suspicious at all. I've got your alliteration headline here. Where is it? Here it is. My mouse can work. Putin's polarizing presence in peaceful Alaska prompted profound protests. There you go. Pretty easy with peas there.
Pop in the peas.
Okay, your next story.
On to your next story about. Our next story about how the States president is totally compromised individual. This is from theguardian.com. Czechoslovakia ramped up spying on Trump in the late 1980s, seeking U.S. intel. Hey, did you know Trump's first wife, Ivana Trump, is from the Czech Republic and that her dad was once a KGB stool pigeon feeding him information? Aha. And
Suspicious.
Did you also further know that Ivana Trump died in 2022 by, falling down the stairs? Why does a 73-year-old woman taking the stairs, not the elevator in her mansion? Maybe she had one of them.
And she was buried on a golf course so that he could get taxes off for it being a cemetery instead of just a golf course. Plus
112-pound woman. You see 8 pallbearers straining to carry a 112-pound woman. What was really in that casket? Was she even in the casket or something else buried in there? There's a lot of questions about this. I know we did.
Yeah, there's a lot of conspiracies. I've seen them, yeah.
Yeah, so as we know, we'll get into this. I wonder if, Putin or whoever showed up and said, because we know, getting onto the story, before the story, Ivana Trump signed a non-disclosure agreement with Donald Trump after she wrote a book. She wrote a book claiming Trump raped her while they were married. Got that non-disclosure agreement, and 2022, for whatever reason, she falls down the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Was she going to say something? Was she getting a subpoena of some sort? Was, whatever secret she was going to let out? That's mine. Where Trump and Putin are involved, I see KGB, I see spies, I see conspiracy, I see. The only conclusion, and from the government people I knew back when Trump was running, said, hey, he works for Russia. So, since he works for Russia, I can't imagine he didn't start getting information way back in the 80s for them, unwillingly, and of course, opening himself up to blackmail at every turn. The Communist Intelligence Service in Prague this is back to the story, we haven't started yet. This is from theguardian.com, Luke Harding. The Communist Intelligence Service in Prague stepped up his spying campaign against Donald Trump in the late 1980s, targeting him to gain information about the upper echelons of the U.S. government. Archive files and testimony from former Cold War spies reveal. Czechoslovakia's Statny Bezpečnost, or STB, carried out a long-term spying mission against Trump following his marriage in 1977 to his first wife, Ivanka Zelnikova. There you go. It has a bunch of them little umlauts or whatever. The operation was run out of Zlin, the provincial town in southwest Czechoslovakia where Zelnikova was born and grew up. Ivana's father, Milos Zelnicek, gave regular information to the local STB office about his daughter's visits from the U.S. and his celebrity son-in-law's career in New York. Zelnicek was classified as a conspiratorial informer. His relationship with the STB lasted until the end of the communist scene, probably beyond, as he just said, I got this phone number from Vladimir Putin. It says to call him immediately. Maybe I should call him. I'm sorry. I can't certify this, but if you're hanging out with spies, you're a spy. That's all I got to say. No archive records obtained by The Guardian and the Czech magazine Respect shows the STB's growing interest in Trump. Yeah, it does. New records obtained by The Guardian and the Czech magazine Respect show the STB's growing interest in Trump after the 1988 U.S. presidential election won by George Herbert Walker Bush. The STB's first director responsible for foreign espionage sought to deepen its Trump-related activity. He's been on their radar for 40 years, man. 40 years, and we act like, oh, he has no Russian ties. For espionage, that's just a thing in movies. No, it's real, folks. The former STB official, Vestimil Danyek, tracked down in the village of Zandy Mamastov, where he lives in retirement, confirmed the Trump operation. Addressing the matter publicly for the first time, he said, Trump was, of course, a very interesting person for us. He was a businessman. He had a lot of contacts, even in U.S. politics. We were focusing on him. We knew he was intellectual. We had information that he wanted to be president in the future. Yeah. Russia, 30 years ahead of the game. Danyek said his senior colleagues at the SDB headquarters in Prague were focused on Trump, too. It wasn't only us who paid attention to him. The first department of the STB were interested in him. I don't know if the first directorate shared information on Trump with the KGB. I can't verify or deny. Yeah, I'm sure the secret police in Czechoslovakia just didn't any information to the KGB. Are you serious? I mean, serious. Come on now. They're secret police. They're not going to tell you who they shared the information with. They're not going to tell you nothing. They're secret police.
Yeah.
That secret thing, that kind of overcomes a lot of this stuff.
Yeah,
they're not like the
that.
Secret Service. They're not like the Secret Service. The Secret Service in the United States is just full of incompetent idiots, okay? So I can tell you that firsthand experience, they have low standards of integrity. Not if you can do your job. You just don't have to be that loyal to the United States to be in the Secret Service. You can be bought, in other words. Anyway, he added, I don't want to tell you any more details. It's a past I would like to forget. I don't want to. The files do not say that the Soviet Union ordered or shaped the decade-long STB Trump operation, but Czechoslovakian spies routinely shared secrets with KGB colleagues. Of course they did. That's their job. You don't become a Soviet satellite state and go, oh, we're not telling you nothing. Yeah, we're giving it to ourselves. Okay, we'll just torture you until you tell us. Your choice.
Of course, anything conceived through torture is unreliable because I'll just say anything so you stop torturing me.
Yeah, anybody that thinks that Prague wasn't sure that anything was Moscow, I don't know. You're just living in fantasy land. The Moscow Security Agency had a large liaison of Prague. Many STB officials also worked directly for the KGB, known as the Friends. Ooh, the Friends. There's a nice. I wonder if what's her name was in there? Rachel and Ross. You know, Friends. And in summer of 1987, Donald and Ivana Trump visited Moscow and Leningrad. It's following a personal invitation from the Soviet Washington, Yuri Dubinin. The trip was arranged by Intourist, a travel agency that was also undercover KGB outfit. Soon after returning to Moscow, Trump announced his nickname running president at presidential bid materialized. He still didn't have a reality show where he could fake that he was a good, it was actually a good executive of business. And reality is Trump couldn't run a business in his wildest dreams.
Yeah.
So that's why nobody wanted him as president. He was kind of a joke at the time. NBC is to blame for making him into this fake, intelligent person that you see on these shows that just fires people and doesn't even know what the hell he's doing.
Yeah. He doesn't know
what
he's talking about.
Propped up the old racist for the rest of us. I'll never forgive NBC for that. In October 1988, on the U.S. election, Ivana Trump visited her parents in Zlin, known at the time as Gotwaldov. According to the files, she confidently predicted Bush's victory to her father, who in turn passed the tip to local SDB officers. Well, that's not information. All she got to say, I think Bush is going to win. Oh, write that down. I don't know. The outcome of the election confirmed the veracity of this information. STB field agent Lieutenant Peter Surivo wrote in a document dated 23 January 1989 and marked secret. The prediction came from the highest echelons of power in the U.S. Ivana was not a well-heeled U.S. citizen, but moved in very top political circles. Perfect for a spy, right? Suri listed a number of action points that might be taken. They included remaining a conspiratorial contact with Zelensky. The STB goal was to gain more information about U.S. foreign politics, economy, bust the activities of American intelligence agencies. Suri, who was deputy head of the local STB, still lives in Zlin. Yes, I wrote that file, he said, speaking about it publicly for the first time. Trump was the richest businessman and interesting for us. It didn't work on him, though. My colleagues did. I didn't work on him, though. My colleagues did. The first department focused on him. I don't know the details. The comments by former STB officers suggest Moscow and Prague were very intensely interested in Trump in the late Cold War era. We are still basically in the Cold War era. I don't know. Think it ended. Everybody's still got nuclear weapons.
The people who are still alive from it think we're still in it, you know, in the same way, right? Espionage and
I think
secret sleeper agents working in your house next door or whatever the fuck.
We're still in the Cold War era. I don't know why we think we're not. It's just different players. It's not Soviet Union, it's Russia, and it's China, and it's everybody that's got nuclear weapons going. You got something pointed at you.
France has some. Don't forget about France.
Yeah, it's all Cold War until it's a hot war. It's a Cold War until it's a hot war. These little experimental, what they call proxy wars between Ukraine and Moscow, Israel and Palestine. Yeah. All these proxy wars that just practice to see what works. The comments by former STB officials suggest Moscow and Prague were intensely interested in Trump in the late Cold War era. Spy agencies in both capitals noted Trump's growing political ambitions and sought to exploit his in-laws and family ties using them as dynamic intelligence channel. You know his kids are compromised too, right? They've been just spilling secrets to everybody. The scale of Soviet Moscow's spying operation on Trump is unknown. No documents are public. It's unclear when the KGB began a file on the future president. It ain't like Moscow's going to declassify their documents and give it to us. Hey, everybody, here's what we've been doing. In Prague, about 600,000 STB documents were declassified in the mid-1990s. After the collapse of communism, the STB destroyed most records, so it's a lot of stuff we're never going to find. However, secret memos written by the KGB chief Vladimir Kayachkov in mid-1980s revealed that he betrayed his officers for the failure to cultivate top-level. I'm sorry, he berated. That I said betrayed. Having trouble reading. Okay. However, the secret memos written by the KGB chief Vladimir Kayachkov in the mid-1980s revealed that he betrayed his officers or berated his officers. I did it again. Berated his officers for their failure to cultivate top-level Americans. Kryachkov circulated a confidential personality questionnaire to KGB heads to station abroad, setting out the qualities wanted from a potential asset. According to instructions leaked by British intelligence by the KGB defector Oleg Gordievsky, they included corruption, vanity, narcissism, marital infidelity, and poor analytical skills. Boy, that is Trump in a nutshell. That is him. That is every
science
personality characteristic of a Donald Trump. Listen to this list. Corruption, check. Vanity, check, 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 check. Narcissism, checkity, check, check, check. And marital infidelity, holy crap. And poor analytical skills. Well, you know how stupid he is. The KGB should focus on personalities who are upwardly mobile in business and politics, especially America. Said. And basically, get us another Trump. Get us as many Trumps as you can. And of course, they got files on a lot of compromised politicians like, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham. Just the list goes on. Matt Gaetz, for instance. Imagine the shit they got on Matt Gaetz. That stupid idiot. That stupid bastard. Okay, sorry, that's your end of the story.
Okay, I have your alliteration here. It's probably not as accurate as what you were saying, but Trump's treacherous takeover through tangled ties to Czechia's clandestine cabal.
How many letters is that?
Well, I don't know how many letters it is, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 words.
I mean,
I don't know how many letters. I'm not going to count the letters.
I'm sorry. The brain fog.
Okay, let's get our next segue for my long ass story. Oh, your camera just turned off.
Sorry. Oops, sorry.
It's a non sequitur. And we're going to talk about... What are we talking about? I can't remember anymore. Plastic Pollution Treaty does not pass at all in Geneva. This is by Jennifer McDermott on AP News, coming out of Geneva. Talks on a treaty to address the global crisis of plastic pollution had ended without an agreement today as the session was adjourned with plans to resume on a later date. Nations worked for 11 days at the United Nations office to try to complete a landmark treaty to end the plastic crisis. But they were deadlocked over whether the treaty should reduce exponential growth of plastic production or put globally link-binding controls on toxic chemicals used to make plastics. Most plastic is made from fossil fuels. Inger Anderson, executive director of the United Nations Environment Program, said despite the challenges and despite the disappointment, we have to accept the significant progress we made. This process won't stop, she said, but it's still too soon to say how long it will take to get a treaty now. The Youth Plastic Action Network was the only organization to speak at the closing meeting today. Comments from observers were cut off at request of the U.S. and Kuwait after 24 hours of meeting and negotiation. Like Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, the U.S. opposed cutting plastic production or banning chemical additives in the treaty. It supported provisions to improve waste collection and management. Yeah, so fix the symptom, but don't fix the cause, right? Don't stop the cause, just fix the symptom. They improve product design and drive recycling, reuse, and other efforts to cut plastic dumped into the environment. The negotiations at the UN hub were supposed to be the last round and produce the first legally binding treaty on plastic pollution, including in oceans. But just like in the meeting in South Korea last year, they left without a treaty. Luis Vallas Valdivieso, chair of the negotiating committee, wrote and presented 2 drafts of the treaty text in Geneva based on the views expressed by the nations. The representatives from 184 countries did not agree to use either one as the basis for the negotiations. There were 2 provided and neither of them were accepted. Valdivieso said this morning as the delegates reconvened in the Assembly Hall that no further action is being proposed at this stage on the latest draft. After a 3-hour meeting, he banged the gavel made of recycled plastic bottles, tops from Nairobi landfill. very symbolic. We should just make everything out of plastic, including our blood. We'll just be plastic monsters, right? In the future, our skin will be made out of plastic. We're gonna have oil in our veins, and just become plastic.
Maybe some
people.
Bulletproof plastic, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. It's a deeply disappointing outcome. Representatives of Norway, Australia, and Tuvalu and other nations said they were deeply disappointed to be leaving Geneva without a treaty. Madagascar said the world is expecting action, not a report from us. European Commissioner Jessica Roswell said the European Union and its member states had higher expectations for the meeting, and while the draft falls short of their demands, it's a good basis for another negotiation session. The earth is not only ours. We are stewards for those who come before and after us. Let us fulfill that duty, he said. China's delegation said the fight against plastic pollution is a long marathon. I mean, how long have we been polluting the planet for? Maybe, when was plastic invented? The 1900s sometime? Late 1800s?
50s.
Yeah.
Or I think it was the 40s. It was definitely 40s.
1940s.
30s and 40s.
So, almost 100 years of polluting the planet with plastic. It's gonna take a little longer than... I guess they've been working on this for 5 years.
I mean...
This treaty.
It
might take longer to... It's really shame because the thing here that's happening now, right, is that humanity got used to plastic existing, right, in the last 50 years or so, right? We got used to 70 years. We got used to plastic existing, and then we act like we can't get used to plastic not existing when humanity has been doing just fine without plastic the whole time. Were things more expensive? Perhaps. But the world ran just fine without plastic, so acting like if we get rid of it, it's going to be the end of, society, or economic, economies are going to crash because plastic isn't around. Or that you have to relegate plastic, right? You have to make sure you're not making it toxic. You have to make sure that you're disposing of it properly, all those extra steps are going to ruin life. When in reality, what's going to happen is humans get used to things very quickly. Like how people got used to the pandemic. 2 years in, they were like, yeah, this is life now. And they got completely used to it. So it's just not that big of a deal. And as usual, governments are being, the world's going to end if we change one little thing.
All right.
But China yet again said it's going to be a long marathon, and this temporary setback is a new starting port to forge consensus. It urged nations to work together to offer future generations a blue planet without plastic pollution. Even China's like, this shit is ridiculous. The biggest issue of the talks has been whether the treaty should impose caps on producing new plastic, so you're only allowed to make 100 tons of plastic a year, or focus instead on things like a better design, recycling and reuse, using less one-use plastics, using more recycled plastic, less toxic materials, that kind of stuff. The UN could not agree on either of those options. Not both of them, right? They don't have to do both. They could do one or the other one. Couldn't agree to do either. Powerful oil and gas producing nations and the plastic industry oppose production limits. You can't tell me how much money I'm about to make making plastic. They want a treaty focused on better waste management and reuse. Saudi Arabia said both drafts lacked balance, and Saudi and Kuwaiti negotiators said the latest proposals takes other states' views more into account. It addressed plastic pollution, which they consider outside the scope of the treaty. That's a different treaty. The draft released earlier today did not include a limit on plastic production, but recognized that current levels of production and consumption are unsustainable. We're creating thousands of tons of plastic every day, and then we're throwing it all in the ocean every day. And global action is needed. New language had been added to say these levels exceed current waste management capacities and are projected to increase further. As in, we're going to go from 1,000 to 2,000, thereby necessitating a coordinated global response to halt and reverse such trends. The objective of the treaty was revamped to state that the accord would be based on a comprehension approach and that addresses the full life cycles of plastics. So that's collecting the oil to make the plastic, turning it into plastic, the plastic being used, the plastic being thrown away, the plastic being found in the Pacific Ocean in giant plastic islands. The whole life cycle of plastic. It talked about reducing plastic products containing a chemical or chemicals of concern to human health or environment that seep into our bloodstream, seep into the ground, and kill everything around them, as well as reducing a single-use or short-lived plastic products, like all that plastic covering, over your, I don't know, is that? Well, I'm pretty sure it's single use. Technically it's not, but I don't think you can reuse, I can't think of what's called saran wrap for the brand name. I don't think you can reuse that. It was a much better and more ambitious text, though not perfect. But each country came for Geneva with a lot of red lines, said Magnus Jonik, the Danish environment minister. Denmark holds the rotating presidency of the Council of Europe right now. To be very clear, a compromise means that we have to bend our red lines, he said. For its part, Iran said its disappointing moment and faulted non-transparent and non-inclusive process on unrealistic elements, particularly chemicals. The plastic industry also urged compromise. The Global Partners for Plastic Circularity said in a statement that the governments must move past entrenched positions to finalize an agreement reflecting their shared priorities. For any proposal to make into treaty, every nation must agree. India, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Kuwait, Vietnam, and others have said the consensus is vital to an effective treaty. Some countries want to change the process, so decisions may be made by vote if necessary. Graham Forbes, head of the Greenpeace delegation in Geneva, urged delegates in that direction. We are going in circles. We cannot continue to do the same thing and expect a different result, he said after the meeting had ended. The International Pollutants Elimination Network said what happened in Geneva showed consensus is dead. Yesterday, on Thursday, the 14th of August, the last scheduled day of negotiations, but they worked on a revised draft until today on Friday. Every year, the world makes more than 400 million tons of new plastic. So not reused, not recycled, new. That could grow by about 70% by 2040. So that would be 700-ish. 700 million tons of new plastic by 2040 without policy change. About 100 countries want to limit production. Many have said it also. That seems like a majority to me. Time to not be unanimous. What did they say? 187 countries or something went in for this meeting, and 100 of them want to limit production. So I say do that, and then whatever. Fuck the rest of them. Many have said it's essential to address toxic chemicals used to make plastics. Science shows what it will take to end pollution and protect human life, said Benethy Carney Almoth, an ecotoxicology professor at Sweden's University of Gothenburg, who co-leads the Scientist Coalition for Effective Plastics Treaty. The science supports addressing the full life cycle of plastics, beginning with the extraction and production and restricting some chemicals to ensure plastics are safer and more sustainable, she added. The science has not changed. It cannot be negotiated. Environmentalists, waste pickers, and indigenous leaders and many business executives travel to the talks to make their voices heard. Some even use creative tactics, but are leaving disappointed. What was the creative tactics? I just want to read what it was. Campaigners of a sweeping plastic treaty climb buildings, hand out soap, and cover art with waste. Boy, this is what our world's going to look like in the future. Trash everywhere. Is this what you want, people of the UN? Indigenous leaders saw a treaty that recognizes rights and knowledge. Frankie Orona, executive director of the Texas-based Society of Native Nations, said the best option now is to move forward with more negotiations to fight for a treaty that truly safeguards people and the planet. So this was from Jennifer McDermott, the Associated Press's climate environment team, in which we're just all disappointed yet again. Politicians let us down, and I don't know, more landfills full of plastic, I guess, in the next coming year until they figure out. They didn't say in an upcoming day, so they still probably have to figure out a date in which they're going to have their next meeting to try to get this treaty through, because it's gonna be a hard one, and hopefully we can survive to see that day.
Right.
All right, give me your segue.
Oh, my segue. Was a non sequitur. Slightly a non sequitur. You know the actual chemical formula for carbon? I'm sorry, for plastic is just carbon and hydrogen. So plastic is a carbohydrate that you and well, carbon can be achieved through many avenues. You don't have to use oil, petroleum to get carbon. You can use it from soybeans or other things in nature. So we're making it from petroleum for expediency reasons, and so oil companies can get rich on it. There's your non sequitur.
Yep, that's exactly what's happening. All the people who are making tons of money want to get rich, and they don't care about if there's a planet here tomorrow. As long as they have a lot of money when the planet explodes, that's all they care about.
And I'll use the old... Every argument I've ever had on the internet about wind turbines boils down to one idiot finally saying, well, you know you need oil to run those turbines. They have to oil them. I'm like, yeah. That oil doesn't get burned up into the atmosphere. It just gets recycled after you...
Also, you can use any oil. You can make oil out of anything. That it doesn't have to be made out of actual oil.
Yeah, as long as you can build it where it doesn't break down so fast. That's kind of the advantage.
I mean, there's a lot of food oils, for example, that have great heat dispersion, right? That's the reason you use oil. It cools things down, and it also makes sure that nothing gets all rusty and cranky and breaks down and explodes from the friction.
And diesel engines do burn vegetable oil, but I think their waste product is still gonna be carbon monoxide, whether you like it or not. They're still burning carbon because vegetable oil is full of carbon. Sorry, I mean it's less toxic than that black diesel smoke for sure, and it doesn't get all over your local buildings and whatnot. All right, though, I guess that's my story, my little non sequitur. Oh, and by the way, release the Epstein files.
Okay. Our next segue is sarcasm from me, so give me a story.
I almost have a video. Let me copy this link so I can close YouTube because it slows me down. Okay. And I'll close YouTube and get on with my reading of the story, which is an anthropology type story. You think society died young in ancient societies? Think again. This is from getpocket.com, Christine Cave. About an 8 to 10 minute story, she says. A lot of pictures. Maybe I just don't have to read the picture captions, so maybe it'll be shorter. You might have seen the cartoon, two cavemen sitting outside their cave, napping stone tools. Napping is just... Anyway. Way to introduce a word to my vocabulary. One says to the other, something's just not right. Our air is clean, our water is pure, we get all plenty of exercise, everything we eat is organic, free range, yet nobody lives past 30, which is a misnomer, I guess. This cartoon reflects a very common view of ancient lifespans, but it is based on a myth. People in the past were not all dead by 30. Yeah, I'm serious. My grandfather, my great-great-grandfather, Alexander Stewart, was born in 1921, lived to be 84. Nobody in my family currently is living to be 84, so I don't know how people in the past not living, right?
Yeah.
The ancient documents confirm this. By the 24th century BCE, the Egyptian vizier Ptahhotep wrote verses about the disintegrations of old age. Yep, old age, not 30. The ancient Greeks classed old age among the divine curses. In their tombstones, attest to the survival well past 80 years. I think I saw that in Greece. It's like, hey, a guy lives to be 80 back in 300 BC. That's crazy. Ancient artworks and figurines also depict elderly people, stooped, flabby, wrinkled. This is not the only type of evidence, however. Studies on extant traditional people who live far away from modern medicines and markets, such as Tanzania's Hadza or Brazil's Jilajana Yanomami, have demonstrated that the most likely age at death is far higher than most people assume. It's about 70. One study found that although there are differences in rates of death in various populations and periods, especially with regards to violence, there is a remarkable similarity between the morality profiles of various traditional peoples. So it seems that humans evolved with a characteristic lifespan. Mortality rates in traditional populations are high during infancy before decreasing sharply to remain constant until about years. Yeah, infancy is one of the ages where you need care, and a lot of people, adults, are not equipped to handle it. So that's what happens in infant mortality, especially, you just helpless person until what age? About 4 or 5? That's a lot of years you spend being basically helpless, relying on adults. The mortality rate rises to peak at about 70. Most individuals remain healthy and vigorous right through their 60s or beyond until senescence sets in. It's a long word I haven't heard before, but I'm going to learn about it now, which is the physical decline, where if one cause fails to kill, another will soon strike the mortal blow. Yeah, they're coming at you from all directions as you get older. The old saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, isn't actually true. It almost kills you, and that means you're very close to death.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what is the source of the myth that those in the past have died young? One is to do with what we dig up. When ancient human remains are found, archaeologists and biological anthropologists examine the skeletons and attempt to estimate their death, sex, age, and general health. Markers of growth and development such as tooth eruption provide relatively accurate age estimates of children. With adults, however, estimates are based on degeneration. We are all able to instinctively label people as young, middle-aged, or old based on appearance and the situations which are encountered them. Similarly, biological anthropologists use the skeleton rather than the, say, hair and wrinkles. We turn this biological age for a judgment. It is based on physical conditions that we see before us, which relate to the biological realities of that person. These are not always correlate with the accurate calendar age, as people are all, well, different. Their appearances and abilities will relate to their genetics, lifestyle, health, attitudes, activity, diet, wealth, and multiple factors. These differences will accumulate as the years increase, meaning that once a person reaches the age of 40 and 50, their differences are too great to allow any one-size-fits-all accuracy in the determination of the calendar age. What is done by eye on a living person or by the peer preferred method of skeletal aging. The result of this is that those older than middle age are frequently given an open-ended estimation like 40 or 50, meaning that they could be anywhere between 40 and 104 or thereabouts. Yeah. When you say 40 or 50 plus years, it could be anywhere plus 50 because they're not really going into that. Oh, let's calculate their exact age. They didn't do none of that. Another thing I want to interject is when they find these bodies that are buried with all these, things, and oh, this is a burial for an important person, and there were only 35. Well, maybe the 35-year-olds got honored burials, but the 70-year-olds are like, yeah, they were, and they just chucked them in a hole and forgot about it. All right.
Yeah.
or there was nobody around to bury him because the young people died. Anyway, the very term average age at death also contributes to the myth. High infant mortality rates bring down the average. Yeah, you got to do like the median. You got to do an average age of people at 10, like the mortality, because infant mortality is way higher than adult mortality. Like adult mortality, saying 30-year-olds or 25-year-olds don't die at the rate of 2-year-olds. They just don't. The very term average. Yeah, I'm supposed to do this again. So that skews the average. We know that in 2015, average life expectancy at birth ranged from 50 years in Sierra Leone to 84 years in Japan, and that these differences are related to early deaths rather than differences in total lifespan. A better method of estimating lifespan is look at the expectancy only at adulthood, which takes infant mortality out of the equation. However, the inability to estimate age beyond 50 years still keeps the average lower than it should be. You can't really tell. It says 50 plus. 50 plus could be 90. Archaeologists' age estimates, therefore, have been squeezed at both ends of the age spectrum, with the result that individuals who have lived their full lifespan are rendered invisible. This means that we have been unable to fully understand societies in the distant past. In the literate past, functioning older individuals were mostly not treated much differently from the general adult population, but without archaeological identification of the invisible elderly, we cannot say whether this was the case of a non-literate society. Mark Oxenham and this is the author, wanted to understand early societies more fully, so we developed a method for bringing to light the invisible elderly. This method is applicable only to cemetery populations that have seen little change over life of the cemetery and without massive inequality between the inhabitants. That's why it can be assumed that the people ate similar foods and behaved in similar ways with their teeth. One such cemetery is Worthy Park near Kingsworthy, Hampshire, where Anglo-Saxons buried their loved ones some 1,500 years ago. It was excavated in the early 1960s. We measured the wear on the teeth of these people and then seriated the population from those with the most worn teeth, the oldest, to those with the least worn. We did this for a whole population, not just the elderly, to act as control. We then matched them against known model populations with similar age structure and allocated the individual with the most worn teeth to the oldest ages. By matching the Worthy Park teeth to the model population, the invisible elderly soon became visible. Not only were we able to see how many people lived to grand old age, but also which ones were 75 years or older and which were a few years past 50. Seeing the invisible elderly has led to other discoveries. It has often been suggested that more men than women live to older age, and that's because of the dangers of pregnancy and childbirth, but our studies suggested otherwise. Applied our method to 2 other Anglo-Saxon cemeteries as well, Great Chesterford in Essex, and the one on Mill Hill in Deal, Kent, and found that the 3 oldest individuals from each cemetery, 7 were women and only 2 were men. Although not a conclusive proof, this suggests that older age spans for women might be part of the human condition. We also looked at the treatment of the elderly in their graves. Anglo-Saxon men were often buried with weapons, while women were buried with brooches and jewelry, including beads and pins. This suggests that men were identified by their martial qualities, while women were admired for their beauty. Men also maintained or increased their status in their graves well into their 60s. While women's value peaked in their 30s and declined further as they age, so the item most likely to be found in the graves of the elderly rather than the younger individuals was the grooming tool. The most common of these was tweezers, and most of these were buried with old men. Did this mean that old men were concerned about their looks, or that old women were too far from beauty for tweezers or other grooming items to help? Maybe they're old women and probably their children were adults too, and they didn't see him as these maternal figures anymore. I'm just guessing. They just saw him, okay, well, she's no longer my care provider. She's gone on to the elder status of an esteemed individual, is no longer favored for just her grooming, maybe her intelligence, right? Findings such as these provide glimpses into the lives of people in the past, a glimpse that was impossible with identifying the invisible elderly. The maximum human lifespan, approximately 125 years, has barely changed since we arrived. It is estimated that the three main causes of death in old age today, cardiovascular disease, stroke, and cancer, were eliminated, then developed world. If they were eliminated, the developed world would see only a 15-year increase in life expectancy, while an individual living to 125 in this past would have been extremely rare. It was possible, and some things about the past, such as men being valued for their power and women, have changed little. Their story, the end of that story, and sorry for the link, but I put you to sleep.
No, I'm still here. Sorry, I was typing, so I muted myself. That you didn't hear it in your ear. But yeah, wow, really surprising what we can discover when we do research. No? Thought.
Was that your
I'm trying to be sarcastic.
Oh, okay.
I got sarcasm.
Okay. All right, let's go to.
Next is our culture news.
Again. Culture news. I am going to send you a video while you're reading.
Okay, give me an accurate metaphor or simile. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
For my culture news, we're going to be talking about the Prince Andrew biography. It's a book, and this article is going to tell us some scathing new information coming from this biography. This is written by Andrew Loney, so it's not written by Prince Andrew himself. That would be an autobiography. Coming from Euronews Culture by David Marquand, entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York by Andrew Loney, traces the life of the late Queen's second son. It hits the shelves today, or I guess it hit the shelves yesterday on the 14th of August. And here are some key takeaways from the scathing expose. Short-tempered, vain, arrogant, sex-obsessed Prince Andrew, Duke of York, and the younger brother of King Charles III, does not come off well in Andrew Loney's new book, entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York. That to say the very least. New biography, which tells the story of a spoilt prince unable to connect, and a duchess pushed by her insecurities into the desperate need to maintain the attention her royal status brought. It is based on court papers, freedom of information disclosures, interviews with ex-staffers, and correspondence. The 450 pages reportedly took Loney 4 years to complete, and he paints an unflattering portrait of the Duke of York, from shady financial deals to sex scandals and close ties with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Extracts from the book were serialized in the Daily Mail newspaper, and the biography hit shelves today, or I guess I should say it hit the shelves yesterday. It comes as a YouGov poll suggests that not only is Prince Andrew the most unpopular royal in the country, but also the 2/3 of the Britons would support stripping him of his remaining royal titles, Queen Elizabeth II having stripped her son of his military titles and patronages in 22. Entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York, will do nothing to lower his polling numbers. There are 5 of the key takeaways from the damning new book. Andrew and Epstein's relationship. It dwells on the relationship between Andrew and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, saying that their bond was much closer than the prince had admitted. Lowney claims that Andrew was easy prey for a rattlesnake like Epstein, adding, Epstein played Andrew. The prince was a useful idiot, gave him respectability, access to political leaders, and business opportunities. He found him easy to exploit. Reminds you of another person, perhaps. Lowney reports that Ivan Novikov, Epstein's personal driver, claims he remembers driving the prince around with two young girls around 18 to the Gassenbord Hotel in the meatpacking district. Both girls were doing lines of cocaine. Lowney also alleges that Epstein sold Andrew's most intimate secrets to foreign intelligence agencies around the world, including the Israel Mossad and the Saudi Arabian authorities. Andrew claims to have met Epstein in 1999, something the book refutes, as the pair allegedly already knew each other almost a decade earlier, in 1989. The late Virginia Gifford, who was a masseuse in Epstein's employ, accused Andrew and Epstein of sexual assault. He denied any wrongdoing in the disastrous 2019 interview with BBC Newsnight, in which Andrew claimed that he had no memory of meeting Gifford, despite numerous photos of them together. Well, I didn't know her name. Is that who she was? I never sexually assaulted this Gifford person. Never heard of him. That woman, though, definitely her. Later, she filed a lawsuit against Andrew in 2021. They settled the following year outside of court for an undisclosed amount. And Gifford took her own life earlier this year at the age of 41, probably from getting accosted by cronies, Prince Andrew cronies. The book claims that Andrew once called a royal staff member a fucking imbecile for failing to give the Queen Mother her full title. He could be unbelievably cruel, Lowney writes, at Andrew's behavior towards royal employees. The other cases of inappropriate and childish behavior include firing an employee because he wore a nylon tie, dismissing another member of staff because he had a mole on his face, and asking a security guard to retrieve his golf balls. Lowney alleges that Prince Harry gave his uncle Andrew a bloody nose during a heated argument in 2013's family gathering in which punches were thrown. Well, that's exactly how you punch somebody in the nose. The book claims that Harry got the better of Andrew after the latter said that his marriage to opportunist Meghan Markle would not last more than a month. Well, joke's on you, Andrew. You're a fucking clown, and they're still married. Lowney also claims Buckingham Palace braced itself for historic complaints about Prince Andrew's bullying, profanities, and impossible demands. Some say a report on bullying accusations against Meghan Markle has never been released because it would also raise questions about the behavior of the Queen's second son. This refers to the accusations of bullying levied against Markle in 2021, accusations which she has denied. Lowney alleges that Andrew, a sex addict, had relations with anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 women, including dozens he met through Epstein. Regarding his marriage with Sarah Ferguson, the book details how Andrew was in the Royal Navy when he and Ferguson wed in 1986. Most of his time was spent at sea. Sarah discovered Andrew wasn't coming home on some of his leave. He was going elsewhere, and this just drove her crazy, shares the Duke of York's former driver in Lowney's book. The former employee also revealed that Brandy Andy slept with more than a dozen women before Andrew and Ferguson's first anniversary. Yeah, that's not good. You're supposed to be a royal dude, can't even do that much, can't keep your dick in your pants. Other claims about Andrew's sex life include he lost his virginity at 11 years old, that he realized he was obsessed with women, and that dozens of women were brought to his hotel room during his stay in Bangkok. Hotel staff were used to foreigners bringing in girls, but amazed more than 10 a day were going to Andrew's room, Lowney writes. The book details Ferguson's money schemes, as well as how she met with an editor at the Hello magazine to discuss how she could fill the gap left by Princess Diana following her death in 1997. She agreed to give Hello everything about her for a monthly retainer. A source told Lowney the deal was thought to be worth $134,000 a month. Damn! However, the spotlight is more on Andrew's grifting. That's right, from 2001 to 2011, he worked as the UK Special Representative for International Trade and Investment, met leaders from Azerbaijan, Libya, Tunisia, and reportedly not shy about asking for gifts, once allegedly demanded to be offered a Fabergé egg. Launay claims that late Queen Elizabeth II was well aware of Andrew's shady deals and had the handouts, but that she was not going to do anything, as it would seem to be that if he wasn't caught, he could get away with it, and then the palace would turn a blind eye. Throughout the book, Launay doesn't just chronicle the downfall of an entitled and petty man who hasn't been a working royal since 2019, but paints the portrait of a rot at the heart of Britain's royal family and how the firm favors a misguided sense of loyalty over any accountability. Of course, you can find this book, which is published by HarperCollins, anywhere books are sold, probably, because it's already been released in probably only in the UK, maybe everywhere else. I have no idea if it's worldwide or just in the UK, but if you want to read about a scumbag, a grifting, sex-obsessed scumbag, it's all in there for you to enjoy. It would be entertaining if you didn't know this was a real guy who really made people's lives just awful, right? Just ruined people's lives. Complete dickhead of a person. Just walking around doing that probably still. I have no idea. I don't want to know, actually. Like Queen Elizabeth, I'm just gonna pretend everything's fine.
Yeah. You know what? Okay.
Your segue, please.
I had to look one up. A friend of Prince Andrew described his relationship with Epstein as like putting a rattlesnake in an aquarium with a mouth, highlighting the unbalanced and predatory nature of the connection. The analogy emphasizes the vulnerability of Andrew.
Yeah.
Or at least the perception of his vulnerability in the face of Epstein's manipulative tactics. So he was a victim too! Epstein victim! Okay. He's friends. The useful idiot is also a victim.
Prince Andrew was the second son of the guy who's become king, so he had probably a huge amount of insecurities, but instead of going to a therapist and saying, hey, how do I get over being insecure about being this, not a king, and I guess you really wanted to be king or something, they were just like,
and I'm
no, Andrew, just go be a sex pest. That will solve your issues.
In reality, but this was probably, again, more espionage because when I'm not a spy and I don't play one on TV, but I've been to plenty of espionage briefings and how they collect information and what they're looking for as a mole to get their information. They're looking for what we call a useful idiot. And useful idiots are usually rich people who have been pampered their whole life, never had to learn anything about the nature of people, right? I mean, never been schooled in the nature of people. And I think everybody's out there to help them. Well, I'm rich. You're here to help me, aren't you? Oh, yeah, that's me. I'm here to help you.
I don't give a shit about you, dude.
So, yeah. Rich people make the worst citizens because they're loyal to money and money alone. So we need to learn that about rich people. They're not on your side. They're not even on the side of your country. They give up. Pickers damn about national borders or any of that stuff. They're all about money. If they cared about borders, why would they keep their money in offshore accounts, right? They don't care about your country at all, especially the royals. The royals will sell your country down for whatever. A weekend with some girls, they'll sell you down the river because, oh my God, you're blackmailing me now. I'll give you anything you want. Yeah, it's a long diatribe. It started with a metaphor or an analogy, but there you are.
It's a metaphor.
I did send you a video.
Yes, I got your video.
Oh, spin the wheel. What did it say?
Now it's time for me to make some mixed metaphor about this day in history.
Get the metaphor mixer out, and we're going to talk all the way back to the year 1057. Ever hear of Macbeth? The play by Shakespeare.
You can't say that. Somebody's going to get stabbed. The Scottish play, you mean?
Anyway, the Scottish play based on reality. The Scottish play, the Shakespeare play, based on a real Scottish king, Macbeth. He was killed on this day in the Battle of Malcolm. By Malcolm, eldest son of Duncan the First. So today is the day Macbeth said, I'm over. It's over. 1057 was the day. 1534, St. Ignatius of Loyola led companions who would become co-founders of the Society of Jesus. So to Montmartre, Paris, where the first members of the Roman Catholic religious order took their vows. So I'm guessing this was the founding of the Jesuits.
Perhaps.
Just a wild guess. 1879, actress Ethel Barrymore, who is considered the first lady of American theater, was born in Philadelphia. Ethel Barrymore, the three times great grandmother of Drew Barrymore, is the one Barrymore that's still famous. 1914, after some 10 years of work, the Panama Canal opened to ships. So happy anniversary to the Panama Canal. You were opened 111 years ago. 1935, entertainer Will Rogers and aviation pioneer Wiley Post were killed in a plane crash near Point Barrow, Alaska. Wiley Post killed Will Rogers. Will Rogers did not have to be in that plane. You silly, silly man. Why did you do that? Another stupid accident that could have never been. The early days of aviation. 1945, 10 years later, Hirohito, the Emperor of Japan, broke the precedent of imperial silence when he made a national broadcast to announce Japan's acceptance of the Allies' terms and surrender of World War II. My question is, if he had imperial silence, how did people know the sound of his voice, and how did they know that was Hirohito?
It was probably just, hello, this is the Emperor, and he just said that kind of stuff. But I think what they mean is that he never directly spoke to the people, that's all.
Mm-hmm. And good evening, citizens of Japan. The imperialist dogs of America bombed us with a atomic.
Well, that's not what happened. At least from insiders,
I'm
I'm just saying what really happened is the military leaders didn't want to surrender, but Hirohito wanted to surrender long before the bombs were going to drop. So
watch the documentary on it. What really happened to people at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and what happened. The second bomb was supposed to be dropped on somewhere else, another town, and the town, because it was 2 days after the first one, they figured not all towns are thinking they only had one bomb, that's it. A lot of people were thinking that, and the United States had to drop the second one because they said you didn't surrender the first one. What are you doing?
Well,
man?
He couldn't surrender because he just said, he had to break the vow of silence or whatever in order to surrender.
I'm not talking about the Hirohito. He was just figurehead. I'm talking about the people in control. The people in control voted on it and said, no, we're not going to surrender. And then 2 days later, they finally said, okay, they probably got more than two, right? But he probably just said something to the effect of, I'm just guessing. We thought they only had one bomb, but it turns out they probably got more than one. Since they got two, who knows how many they have? So
sadly, the military leaders of Japan were sunk cost fallacy. Oh, we've already invested all this stuff into this. We can't give up now. Okay.
And Truman was like, okay, we're going to tell you one more time. We're going to annihilate your country if you don't surrender. One more time. Just listen to us. We got this bomb, and we've already demonstrated it to you all. To me,
I feel like if you wanted, like I said, I'm never ever going to agree that dropping the bomb was a good idea because it's a war crime. But I feel like you could have dropped in the ocean nearby, and then that would have been sent the same message without killing an entire city of people. I think we actually killed more people in Dresden. So that was also a war crime. You dropped fire bombs on the city.
We weren't averse to war crimes. They told us that we were a war crime was like we had this thing called war fatigue, and since Germany had surrendered, Japan was sitting there holding on to what? What are they holding on to?
We don't have to get into this argument.
That was It's not an argument. It's a historical. It was an historical debate.
I am just saying you have the point of view that it was necessary. I do not have the point of view that it was necessary.
I do not have the point of view. We're just going to
have to agree to disagree.
You are inserting opinions I don't have while I'm making the case for these people. This is not my opinion. Again,
I don't care about their opinion. I only care about yours.
I don't have a point of view that I personally want to defend. I just want to say,
you're playing the devil's advocate.
Here's what happened. Yeah. Here's what happened. Here's why Japan didn't surrender. Here's why the United States had to do it. I have no dog in this race. I am not even part of this. This happened 17 years before I was born. Okay? Don't pin this on me. I'm telling you, the state of mind of America was probably, can we not be at war anymore?
Yeah, I understand.
Japan
I also understand that. You don't have to explain it to me.
It had been a year and a half, maybe 2 years, before Japan had any military victories. Right? Everybody, the walls were closing in. They no longer had any. What was the point? What was the point in continuing this war? I blame Japan at least 80% of this. They could have just ended it. Anytime. Tokyo was being bombed every day, right?
Yeah.
Every day. Okay. All right, next thing on the history.
In this day in history?
Yeah, 1948. Syngman Rhee announced the establishment of the Republic of South Korea, and that went over big with North Korea. They said, nope, we're not part of you. 1960, the Republic of Congo gained independence from France. Yay! France giving up more land. 1971, Bahrain proclaimed independence from the United Kingdom. Yay! United giving them, of course, Bahrain full of a bunch of rich oil barons, so they probably got paid under the table for that, right? 1975, Sholay, widely regarded as Bollywood's most iconic film, was released, directed by Ramesh Sippy, written by duo Salim Javed, and starring in the ensemble cast including Amitabh Bachchan, Dharmendra, and Hema Malini. Probably all famous in India, but I've never heard before. It held the record for the highest grossing Hindi movie for 19 years. So it was until 1994 for that record was broken. Other movie news on 1979, Apocalypse Now was released. Francis Ford Coppola became a film classic, noted for performances by Marlon Brando, Robert Duvall, Martin Sheen, a whole cavalcade of stars, whose character famously, Robert Duvall's character, who says, "I love the smell of napalm in the morning." There's a bunch of famous lines from that.
And then he got cancer and died.
Right.
Probably.
Yeah, Apocalypse Now. Yeah, no, Robert Duvall's still around and kicking. But the,
oh, really? Okay, cool. Well, it wasn't probably wasn't real napalm in the movie. I hope not.
1998, a car bomb exploded in Omagh, Northern Ireland, killing 29 people and leaving 200. The Real Irish Republican Army, or the Real IRA, an IRA splinter group, claimed responsibility for the bombing, which is the deadliest attack in Northern Ireland since the violent known as the Troubles began in the late 1960s. The Troubles. I like how they just minimize the actual damage done by calling it. Oh, it was the
you just don't want. I mean, there's so much bad shit that happened. You don't want to know about it. Basically, is what they're saying, right? Yeah. What happened back then? It was troubling, man. You don't want. If I tell you the story, you'll have nightmares. Okay, don't ask.
Like Ireland was having its period at the time. Oh, it was the Troubles. He's having menstrual cramps. 2013, the scientists in Smithsonian announced that the discovery of the Guido, the first carnivore species to be discovered in the American continents in 35 years, the small arboreal animals live in the cloud forest of Colombia and Ecuador. Arboreal is a type of forest. 2021, the Taliban, we were talking about the Taliban, it's the 4-year anniversary of Sticky the Clown, just letting them go. Hey, we this war, you guys are enemy combatants. You locked up in Guantanamo Bay without trial. But the ones in Afghanistan, hell, we're letting you loose. Go ahead and run roughshod against the rights of your own people. So yeah, 40th year anniversary of Donald Trump betraying the people who helped us defeat the Afghanistan, and now he's deporting the people who granted asylum to, they're starting to deport those people back to Afghanistan, where they're going to be executed. Yay! Way to go, fascists. You just hate freedom everywhere. Again, release the Epstein files. This day in history also featured event 1947, independence for India. After 3 decades, the Indian Gandhi achieved its goal of this day in 1947 as a free and independent India was established, ending 200 years of British rule. Again, the British Empire shrunk again on this day, a couple of times. One for Bahrain in 1971 and one for India in 1947. The day is Empire Shrinking Day, I think. Our feature biography, Napoleon Bonaparte. Yeah, Napoleon I, Emperor of France, born August 15th, 1769. Happy 231 plus 25, 50, 256. 256. Happy 256, Mr. Napoleon Bonaparte, leader of the French Revolution. Viva la Revolution! Death to fascists! However, Napoleon went to his head a little bit, and people decided he was a despot, and he was deposed a couple of times, and the world basically... He was eventually exiled to an island called St. Helena, where he died on 5th, 1821, at the age of 51. Dude only got 51
Isn't that crazy that you can just exile somebody and then they don't even have to kill people, right? Like, we've executed a lot of leaders of countries when we could have just exiled them to a freaking island somewhere.
And he only lived to be 51. That's not very old.
He probably drank himself to death or something. I'd probably drink myself to death, being like, I could have been the Emperor of Europe, and I fucked it up.
Yeah.
Time to drink wine until I pass out.
And France had an endless supply of wine for him to drink, so there you go. He probably just pickled his liver, like he said. 1950 is the birthday of Anne. We were talking about Prince Andrew. Well, happy birthday to sister. Yeah, Princess Anne is turning 75
I believe is a
today,
decent human being for the most part.
Right. We can't hold her to the standard of her sister, her brother is the king, by the way.
Yeah.
So we kind of think of him as a scumbag. Maybe not the Andrew level of scumbag, but he was not really. I contend, and I still contend, that Princess Diana was murdered by the Israeli secret police because she was dating Dodi Fiad, a Muslim from Egypt, and they were totally terrified that she would become the queen, and oh my God, an Egyptian is ruling England, we can't have that. So that's not just my theory, it's many people's theories. Very suspicious car accident. Right? Very suspicious. Anyway, Princess Anne's birthday, she probably had nothing to do with it. She's probably just a good person, born into a royal family. She turned 75. Happy birthday. 1963, Alejandro González Iñárritu, Mexican director and producer, was born. Melinda Gates' birthday. She married Bill Gates and turned him into a philanthropist. So Melinda Gates, another good person. She's turning 61 today. I wonder... Right in my wheelhouse. Maybe I can hook up with Melinda Gates, right? Hey, Melinda, what's up, baby? It's only 61, man. She's younger than me. I'd call her baby. 1972, Ben Affleck's birthday. Another person close to power, right? Ben Affleck. He's close to the power source that is known as Jennifer Lopez.
How do you like them apples? I know that wasn't Ben Affleck, but he was in the same film.
Jennifer. No, yeah, he was in the same film. He was Matt Damon's stupid best friend. His stupid best friend that Matt Damon was always fighting with because Ben Affleck was always like, I don't have a comeback. Good Will Hunting we're talking about. How do you like them apples? Jennifer Lawrence's birthday today. Speaking of Jennifers, we just were, Jennifer Lopez is also it's Jennifer Lopez's birthday, born in 1990. She is turning,
Jennifer Lawrence, not Jennifer Lopez.
Jennifer Lawrence's birthday. She's turning 35 today. She was born in 1990. So Jennifer Lawrence.
Famous for the Hunger Games and
Hunger Games and the movie she made with what's his ass there?
The comedy film?
Bradley Cooper. No, the Bradley Cooper movie.
Silver Linings Playbook. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's where she won the Oscar. Okay, and our feature, we did feature biography. Those are all your biographies. National Days, only a couple of things. Besides National Relaxation Day, there's also National Lemon Meringue Pie Day.
Meringue, nice and airy. Lemon, nice and refreshing. Great for a hot day.
I already call it in the South lemon meringue pie. I've heard that in the South. Meringue. You actually call it meringue.
You guys were a French territory and you don't know French? Hello?
Well, that was Louisiana. Was a French territory. Yes. Yes. Meringue, of course, is just whipped egg whites with some sugar. And it's National Leathercraft Day. So put on your leather.
I do have some leathercraft. I have some moccasins from New Mexico, actually. I imported them for way too much money to get them all the way here.
Sweet. And you'd probably hang them on the wall, right? Instead of wearing them?
No, I wore them and then I spilled olive oil on them. So there's a big oil stain on my moccasins because you can't get oil out of leather.
Well, you know what you do? You know what you do now is you soak it all in olive oil. So
yeah, I probably should.
And it probably preserves it.
Yeah.
Probably a natural preservative for leather. It does crack when it dries out. So it's those three things, and it's National Relaxation Day. Put on your leather, lay down in a hammock, and eat yourself a lemon meringue pie. It is August 15th. Those are your stories. August 15th, 2025 on Before Lemon Meringue.
Okay. No international UN observances this weekend or today. Yep, it's a bit of a blank week. But I do have some mixed metaphors. When the British invaded India, they sure stirred up a hornet's nest with a stick. I heard Napoleon thinks he was the cream of the gravy train.
He wasn't he?
And for Relaxation Day, just take those gloves off by the seat of your pants. I love mixed metaphors. Especially if you know the metaphor, right? You just know what. Somehow that makes sense, but it doesn't. This has been Allison here from the Netherlands and Roger's forehead from the East Coast of the U.S. As we finish up another week, happy, I guess, mid-August. I hope you guys have a good weekend. Don't forget to drink water, stay cool, wear that sunscreen so that you can have a great and relaxing weekend. We will be back on Monday for more news that you missed over the weekend. So make sure you're following, you're subscribed. Turn on those notifications so you know when we go live or post a video. And here is our very smelly mic drop moment.
Yeah. Friday, it's
just pulling his shirt
Robert
off.
Duvall Day. Who needs a shirt? Yeah,
this was Vietnam, which was very, very, very humid. It's basically like walking in a cloud all the time.
Right. One of your more iconic. One of these filmings where no CGI existed at the time.
Yeah.
And you had to get this bombing run right in a try. You can't do this twice.
This guy's just stealing this woman's baby.
The most expensive movie made at the time, and it took forever to make, and it did win Academy Award, so it was worth the trouble.
I mean, it did show the catastrophe of the complete shit show of the Vietnam War.
Oh yeah. The complete cluelessness as we just invade a country and act like the people there don't mean anything, you know. At least he was clearing children out of the napalm zone.
Yeah, at least he did that much, right?
We'll have this place cleaned up and ready to Jimmy, son, don't you worry.
He's just, what napalm was going to do is going to clear all those people that were attacking them out of that dense forest.
Yeah, basically they wanted to burn the forest down so you have no cover. In a strategic way, right? It was supposed to be clearing their defenses, the fortifications. They're using the jungle as a fortification.
And another country just didn't understand the culture, and we just thought, bomb them, bomb them. That's what...
And just irresponsible, really. Completely irresponsible.
You smell that?
When people are fighting you so hard that they're digging tunnels underground to attack you from bushes, maybe they don't want you to be there and you should leave. You know?
Yeah, you're on their turf. Yeah, we hopefully learn from this.
I hope so. Of course, then Kosovo happened, but that was a UN thing. Or a NATO thing. That wasn't a US thing.
The CIA learned a lesson, but I don't know if they passed it on.
I do wonder what napalm smells like. Probably not nice.
Gasoline burning. Gasoline and pine tar burning. That's what it smells like. Take some pine tar, mix it with gasoline, set it on fire.
Yeah, it's a huge combustion.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.